And welcome to everyone. I'm Survi Sai, Senior Content Writer at India IT 360 and your host for today's exciting session on Generative AI, Shaping Your Future and How to Thrive in the AI Era, powered by India IT 360. We are thrilled to see so many fresh graduates and early career professionals joining us today, all eager to explore how Gen AI is redefining industries, reshaping roles, and transforming the way we work. Before we dive in, a quick reminder please keep your mics muted throughout the session. You can share your questions anytime in the chat box and we'll take it up at the end. Today's conversation is designed to help you future proof your career from understanding AI's real world impact to discovering practical ways to upskill and grow fast in this evolving tech landscape. With that, it's time to welcome our distinguished speaker, Mr. Satish Kothapalli, CTO at Life Sciences Business Unit at Altimetrik. Mr. Kothapalli is a seasoned IT leader with a rich experience in technology and digital transformation. His passion lies mentoring young professionals and helping them navigate opportunities in an AI driven world. Thank you, Mr. Kothapalli, for joining us today. The virtual stage is all yours.
That's one of the good introduction I had so far.
Thank you so much, sir.
But first of all, thank you, and Indian ID 360 for scheduling this session, right? So
Yeah.
I have a couple more panelists who join me. We all have been talking for quite some time about this, right? So how can we help some of the folks out there, some of this disruption, especially the GenAI is bringing in. So thank you so much, and ID360, Indian ID360, for helping us out and reaching these folks who are on this session, right? So having said that, again, guys, thank you so much. It's a Friday evening or a Saturday evening, right? And it's a weekend, and you taking the time to join this session means a lot to us. And thanks for joining this. So, as Surbi called out, I am a seasoned technology leader in this industry for more than 25 years. I don't look like that because I just shaved my the white beard and other stuff. But I do come with 25 years of experience in this industry, right? And we definitely want to share some of our experiences, especially the disruption the GenAI is causing at this point of a time, right? And while we were thinking, we have two more panelists to join me who have requested them, who have been doing this and who are very passionate to mentor uh, the freshers out of the college or who are doing this because they really feel that, okay, is the education system in India at this point are there where the IT companies are expecting them to be? Are they coming out with the right technology, with the Gen AI, or the AI mindset? What are the gaps and how we can help them out, right? So I will ask Shaheen to quickly introduce herself and hand it over to Satya. Shaheen, over to you.
Thank you so much, Satish. Hello, everyone. Good evening. We welcome you to this session. I do not want to waste much of time in explaining what I do because I know this is not important to you. You are looking out for what is in it for me in this session. So quickly, I'll wrap up saying that I'm one of those product managers who is passionate about building projects or IT products, and I have over 15 years of experience, and I wore different hats for different projects. So I am one of those passionate individuals where I was so brilliant in studies and one of those brilliant kids in my curriculum. But when it came to practicality, total things have changed drastically for me, because the reasons I know you are definitely relating to what I'm saying, because there is definitely a gap of what you are learning in theory and what you learn in an experience, right? So I would take you along on my journey down the lane, but before going further, right? So please, I would request you to please keep your thoughts open, ask questions, and we will discuss in detail of what you require and what are your apprehensions by the end of the day. Because this session is not about we telling what you do, but you asking us what is your apprehension and how would we collaboratively, chase those apprehensions and coming out victorious. Thank you so much for joining the session again, and I hand it over to Satya.
Hey, hello everyone. I am Satya. I bring over 18 years of experience. Started my career in 2006 as a Java J2E professional, and like Shahin and not so experienced as Satish. But then I wore different hats from a development perspective. I have been started as a J2E Java engineer, became a mobile developer, and now I head a generative AI and engineering department at one of the startups venture studios. Like Shahin and Satish said, I think I'll not take more time. But all three of us have lived through various transformations within the industries, have seen a lot of restructurings at the organizations we worked before, and lived through what I would say basically sometimes would what people would refer to as an IT apocalypse, because what we have seen usually caused a lot of roles to disappear. So with that, I think I'll take a pause and hand it over to Satish, because that will be a good segue for him to continue.
Okay, thank you. So guys, let's start with this, right? So why we are here, why we are talking about Gen AI. And it's one of those technologies, right? And we have been seeing tons of technology, let's say over the last 30 years plus, and every time something new comes in, uh, there is all this halagulla saying that, okay, it's going to change everything, right? So we have seen this with AI. We have even seen this with computers coming in, right? And at least I remember my parents and the generation where we were all scared, saying that, okay, computer is going to take away all the jobs. But that didn't happen. It actually created that big segment where we are all working, and it's a huge, right? So, but why now? What is that the GenAI is doing, and why we want to talk about it, and why we want to be here, collaborate with you, help you out, and understand some of the challenges, or explain what are the challenges you might be seeing. Right. So I'll just give a quick overview of what happened over the last 25, 30 years, right? So computers is all about, okay, I used to do things, okay, can I get it done with the computers or the technology, what we have been talking about, right? And the base behind that was someone writing that programming, right? So we all started with, let's say, at least I remember my times, it was C, C++, Java, then .NET and all that. It grew. So the change, what I've seen is the complexity, the way we used to write has been simplified, right? And C was very complicated for me. I was never great at C. Then C++ did much better. Then it went on. Now we're at the stage of Python and all this. It's much better, right? But it's still, it was giving that flexibility, and we are looking for the developer to do that. If you see in any of our IT companies today, let's say 60% of the total strength of the company still revolves around the development or the engineering. Either it's the fresher, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, we still need that strong engineering layer, right? All that layers on top of it is to make sure manage some of these engineering activities and define the roadmaps or the strategy and all this, right? But this was the core. The engineering team was the core for anyone to build any projects, products, or any application, whatever we call, right? But what GenAI started doing is it started saying that, okay, you know what? I can start doing most of the activities that you can do today. right? And we have seen that if you take back into your daily activities, some of the activities what you might have done earlier, you're asking a chat GPT or a Grok or something to do it for you. Of course, it's not doing everything, but able to do it very quickly and giving you back, let's say 70% or 80% of the work that you used to spend on those things, right? But it's you are still needed in that. That's exactly what's happening in the IT field coming to the software development stream. Someone who was writing this code now relies on this GenAI, which brought in a vibe coding. It is again the agentic AI under the GenAI, which for the developer, we started calling it as a vibe coding thing, right? Basically doing exactly the same. It's able to generate the code up to 60%, 70%, sometimes 80%, and it keeps changing almost every day, every week, every month. All right, so we are at a stage where we are saying someone who doesn't know how to write a code can actually build an application. It's not 100% there, right? But it's able to build 60 to 70%. And the rest 40% is where development of the engineering team would be coming in. And this is going to reduce drastically in the next few years. And again, I can't complain why the computer, let's say all these IT companies are firing under the name of, let's say, mm, capability mismatch or the skill mismatch or automation or AI. Because at the end of the day, they are in the competitive market and they have to deliver the solutions much quicker, much cheaper, and they have to sustain while they are letting some of these employees go. They're making sure that the companies will sustain and give that for the other employees who are still into that, right? So we can't complain. This is the technology that's causing the disruption at this point of a time. So how do we take care of this? How do we take care of this situation? Now, at a very high level, what I can say is while it's cutting down on this jobs, at the same time, it's giving that magic wand to all of us. If I can build a solution, not writing a code in, let's say, a day or two, and sit with some technical expert and make it a product in a week, even you can do it, right? So how is it changing the current trend? So let's say if I'm reducing the 70% of the efforts of a developer, what does it mean? Maybe today we are talking about reducing the engineering workforce by 20% or 30%, but it will keep increasing as the quality of this vibe coding tools improves, right? So how do we make sure that we are riding this wave and taking the positivity out of it and build our careers is something what uh, my friends Shaheen and Satya would be talking and providing some inputs on where to focus, how to focus, and everything, right? So, having said this, Satya, do you mind taking it over from here and talking about the technology? Where do you want the team to focus on?
No, no, absolutely. So, so quickly, I'm not sure if we have a show, we can do a show of hands here. But then I'm assuming that most of you are fresh graduates, fresh out of college, looking for jobs, and then a lot of people with 2 or 3 years of experience. Survey, is there a way that we can do a quick show of hands here? Or maybe you guys can just put it in the chat so that I can tailor the
Yes, sir.
presentation.
They are showing you Bhumi. I'll call out for Bhumi. She has just
Mhm.
showed her hand. Or you can also mention your questions in the chat box so that we can pick
Okay.
up the questions.
So what we will do is initially we'll start off with a very high level of what are the, and I'll probably take that segue from Satish, and then we can I think, yeah. So I'm looking at the chat. People who have graduated 1994 never did coding. Some people have more than 10 years of experience, more than 9. Some working as a project manager, 2 to 3. Not a lot of fresh graduates here. Okay. In that case, I think we'll probably tailor it to the crowd who is that is more experienced crowd, and if there are any freshers, they can maybe raise their hand, interrupt, and then I can speak to it after that. So I think when it comes to how generative AI is coding, actual coding manually. I think, yeah, I think we're going to answer all those questions shortly. But why don't I start and then we can take these questions. So, so to build a project, when there was no generative AI, there were still coding tools. Even back in 2006 and 5, when we started, at least when I started my career, there were IDEs like Eclipse and NetBeans that would actually do a lot of code completion, right? Before that, people used to write C++ code in Notepad with absolutely no code completion whatsoever. Now, what happened with with Eclipse and NetBeans was static code completion. By static code completion, what I mean is you would define a lot of code, and because this is an experienced crowd, uh, there are software engineering concepts like OOPS that enable, and programming languages like Java and .NET that came packaged with their own integrated development environments. So when you created a project, you had a lot of classes. You would organize your project in a certain way, and then that would enable you to complete the code. The IDE would allow you to complete the code. So from there, given that setup, a project manager would plan for a project completion within 3 to 6 months, right? So 3 to 6 to 9 months was typically a project timeline for delivering an initial prototype. There would be different life cycles of a project. uh, Someone is from pharma background. Is it relevant to me? Absolutely, sir. I think it's relevant to everyone. So I'll close the chat window, not get distracted here. So basically, after that, now what we are seeing is the wave of generative AI. How generative AI and so th- that program, the auto completion, the code from auto completion to generative AI has taken literally 20 years for us uh, to come to where we are now, right? And why I'm giving you this progression is because it is important to speak about this progression is because when IDEs like Eclipse and NetBeans came, a lot of people thought that this would take away the development or the developer roles, right? And that is where the freshers who just that 20 years of time we have taken to from code completion to basically entirely generating the complete project, right? So what you are seeing now, AI is not going to take away your jobs. The reason is because it is very good at generating a lot of fresh code. But when it comes to modifying or generating the existing code, is where AI would need a lot of context. And that is where it will need a lot of experienced people, right? What we are looking now is in how we leverage these tools. And that is what this session is geared towards. If you are not comfortable using the AI tools that that can allow you to modify a project, create or come up with a new feature that the client is asking you for in a very short time. So the time compression is what the project managers are looking for. If you are not able to compress that timeline, that is what is called upskilling for the companies that are looking for developers who can, who can basically complete or finish the feature in 2 days as opposed to 2 or 3 weeks. I hope I'm clear so far, but if you have any questions, I will take them now and then we will continue.
So Satya, basically what you were saying is like any GenAI tools or the LLMs or the chat GPTs of the world, improving the productivity of any user for kind of an activity. The vibe
Right.
coding is something similar, which is helping the developers build that solutions much quicker. And this,
Exactly.
instead of 2 weeks, they might just take a couple of hours. Basically, you're talking about improving the productivity of the developer and reducing the timelines.
Exactly.
In turn, reduces the cost. And basically, which in turn we are saying that if a developer was taking 2 weeks, now it's 2 hours. Uh, that's slowly is going to impact the number of developers needed in the industry. Because the productivity of the one developer is growing, let's say, 5 times or the 10 times. So that's the impact what we are talking about.
Exactly. So, adding to that, Satish, what I want to convey is that till a certain point, AI can do a wonderful job. It can do a fantastic job because I I at my startup run a very lean team, right? So it's basically 3 or 4 developers. You can see the productivity improvement for a new product development or a new feature development within the same product. That productivity development can be observed. Say, for example, you have cut down the timeline and you can see it till a certain point where it starts to plateau. When it starts to plateau is when, if you look at enterprise grade projects, right? Something that is an enterprise scale, that is where things starts to slow down because the most of the developers and everyone is basically getting used to this vibe coding. Vibe coding is great when it comes to new projects, but when we have to make improvements to legacy projects, a thorough understanding of the existing code base is absolutely necessary. The architecture of the existing code base is absolutely necessary. Otherwise, what happens is a lot of times, because like we do in our enterprise development, AI basically misses on the regression testing part, right? So we fix something, something else breaks in an enterprise setup. So we should be very careful. And this is where companies also need to think from that first principles mindset where they don't look at the the experienced developers as a weight, rather than using their experience to basically create that new generation of workforce that has the abilities of that can use the generative AI or vibe coding experience along with the enterprise architecture experience.
Sure. So, in short, what we're saying is, okay, while this vibe coding is giving the productivity, it's not in a current state replacing the development team.
Exactly.
It might be able to generate the code, which might be good enough. Let's say there were a couple of folks asking for the percentage. Just based on again the experience, we are still looking at somewhere 60-65% uh,
Yeah.
at this point of a time. The remaining 30-35% or 40% is still dependent on the developer with a good experience
Experience. Exactly.
uh, and bring that strong technical capability. So that's
Exactly.
what we see at this point of a time. But again, let me call it out. If the same question was put together last year, I was talking about 25-30%. And in less than a year, we are talking about 60-65%. So just keep that in mind. And we are hoping and we are confident that it might not take care of the 100% of the code at even after 2 years. But we are talking about as good as coming close to 80-90%, right? And the development teams will still remain the same. It will be cut down. Now, what we are seeing is we some of the times we call them as a business analyst, some of the folks who actually go to the business, understand the use case, who knows the end to end what the business want to build. Given this vibe coding van to them, they will be able to use that knowledge of the end to end understanding and build that first draft of the application, which is as good as 60-70% what we are talking, right? So there is a change in the shift of the responsibilities as well that this is bringing in. Okay. Hopefully we have addressed some of the questions that have come up on the percentage. The percentage, what we are seeing, either it's a mobile, web, or whatever the kind of application we are talking, is around 60, 65 on average. Sometimes some basic applications might even go up to 80, 90%. Complex application might come down to 50 something, right? But yeah, it's definitely heading in the direction where it can be improved much better than 65 in the next 1-2 years. Okay.
Yeah.
Exactly, it's there. Okay, so having said that, Shaheen, would you like to add some points over here?
Okay. So any questions before we move to the next discussion? We have in our agenda, we wanted to address first of all what is exactly happening in AI, and then what is the shift that we are seeing today, and then we wanted to also tell what are the interview tips for you guys to nail that interview perfectly, right? So I'm sure this is one of the most wanted discussion for you. I will segregate this topic around freshers and non-freshers, because non for non-freshers, for the people who are already into it, I'm sure you know how to nail those interviews, but let us segregate it. um, let us begin with the freshers. How many of you, I would like to have quick show of hands of people here. I would like to have an understanding. How many of you know that in AI, generative AI, there is almost all of us think that, we have roles around development, right? And only tech roles. How many of us think like that? Can we have a quick show of hands? Only tech roles exist in GenAI, non-GenAI? Okay, if you already know it, yes. So we don't need to be expert and heavy coder like Satya and Satish here. So there are roles exist, like a business analyst, where he thinks business, right, a business problem, and he wants to identify the business problem, know in detail of it, and try to replicate the same in easy words to techie, and techie will develop it, and then we deploy it, right? For that, you do not need to have larger coding skills or tech skills. You need to have a business understanding and a bit of understanding on AI and generative AI. So for the people like me who is not heavily embodied into technical aspects of it, this role could is what you could pursue, right? Especially for the beginners, I would suggest you to understand different roles that exist in AI and generative AI. Business analyst role is could be one of it. And then we have project managers, right? Project managers are the people who delegates, right, and make sure that the project is run successfully from the start to the end. And this project manager also need not be a techie, the hardcore techie, right? He needs to understand the basic concepts of it, and then he needs to understand how to delegate, and he needs to understand the software development life cycle, so that he takes over the project from the discovery to the deployment. And then we have of course the technical developers, and we have testers also. So depending upon where you want to fit, right? If you want to be a hardcore developer, try your hands on the techie roles. And if you're not a techie, you can opt for the roles like business analyst and a project manager, and even the testing roles, right? So I would put up in chat of what all roles can be possible in this area, so that you can pursue your uh, career and candidature in there. So how do we start? I suggest you to start with having a strong foundation profile, right? Begin with the research. How would you begin with the research? You have to search for the entry level GenAI roles and use keywords like junior prompt engineer or junior business analyst or junior associate project manager or associate product owner, something like that, right? So that means these people are seeking, mostly startups, these people are seeking for junior roles. You can go and adapt those junior level roles and build your profile in accordance to that. And how do you build those profiles? Let us start talking about resume building, right? So when you want to build a resume, uh, all of us go towards ChatGPT, give some indications to it that we have this strong points, we have this negative points, and want GPTs and resume builders to write on it, right? So yes, that is a good starting point, but I would want you to also mention your internships, whatever internships that you have done in your colleges and respective curriculum, and also mention various hackathons and open source contributions that you have done, so that the recruiter tends to know what exactly are your contribution towards, right? And what are your skills, and what could be your learnings also. And I would strongly encourage you to mention 2 or 3 projects, right? Whatever. And when you do not have projects, I would want you to think right now. If you are in a second year or a third year, I would want you to definitely invest some efforts into uh, gathering some knowledge around how would I put up 2 or 3 projects around AI or generative AI, so that my resume becomes relevant, right? How do you do it? We have a lot of forums where we can discuss what are the possible use cases that we can have. And also in your projects or in your internships, if you have uh, 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 an understanding, or if you have an opportunity to do those projects in your colleges or outside your colleges during your internships, I would want you to put 2 to 3 and highlight your contributions around it. Okay, that is about resume building. And of course, you can use chat gpts, but make sure that you edit your heavy contributions in your own languages. Let us not too much be oriented towards chat gpts and AI resume builders, because there is a danger of me understanding that it is not written by you, that it is written by gpt already. So make sure that the human thing is intact in the resumes that you're going to build. And the next comes as a preparation. How do I prep for the interview, right? Let us use ChatGPT for instance. How do I use ChatGPT or any LLM models? You have prompts. When you are okay with the prompts, then these and when you have a basic understanding of prompts, these could be your agents or your assistants to help you in preparations also. How? Let me tell you. First of all, when I was preparing for my interview, I created a two month schedule for a particular role. If I am preparing for an interview for a product owner, I will ask ChatGPT to write me a 2 week or a 2 month schedule for me. Because I would have only 1 hour time to invest in that particular role, and I would ask ChatGPT, and then it would beautifully write it to me that since you have 1 hour time daily, do this on the first day, do this on the second day. And I have a plan, I have a friend telling me that you can go ahead learning step by step and achieving on so and so date for your interview. And then I would highly encourage you to have mock interviews also. How? Mock interviews could also be possible with AI help. I would talk about my experience because it has definitely helped me. I've asked ChatGPT or any model to act as an interviewer and give me some top 20 questions for a role of a product owner. So it'll beautifully craft 20 questions to me, and then I've also asked answers because I want to understand how GPT is thinking in those answers and how would I answer those questions. But there is a joke circulating around that one person has asked ChatGPT to draft some questions as an interview. Uh, and giving a task like, act as an interviewer and give me some 20 questions, and it gave 20 questions. He learned them, and the same questions looks like interviewer also asked, and they cracked it beautifully. And the same questions interviewer asked and the same questions answers, this interviewer has cracked it beautifully. So this is a joke, but it can happen to you also, because we run out of questions sometimes, right? And we go to models to generate questions nowadays. It can happen to you also, but carefully craft those answers. Do not rely only on AI to have your answers, because the storytelling also matters. When you have your story right, and your intentions and your contributions shown right, then only you will be showing yourself confident, and you're not like repeating the answers what ChatGPT has said to you, right? And then next comes is a behavioral interview, right? So sometimes interviewers can ask you questions on behavior, right? What would you do in such a situation? What would you do in a complex situation, and stuff like that. So we all will be ready with mugged up answers, because we know what will interviewers ask today. But make sure you have all these, star thing embedded into your answers. With first is situation. What is the situation? What is the task that has been asked to you, and what is the action out of it, and what is the result out of it? And then you can see the context also. That's where we tell the interviewees to concentrate on star C method: the situation, task, action, result, and context. Because if only all five of it are involved in your answers, that's when you would complete the loop. Otherwise, I would think as an interviewer that you have mugged up answers maybe, or you have asked some model to help you answer. So avoid falling into those pitches when using AI models per se. And then this last and important aspect is practice. So when I practice, I would do 2 to 3 to 5 mock-up interviews for myself. I would record, and then I would see whether I have done good or not. For the first interview, I hated myself, because my language, my modulation, and my confidence were really really bad. And when I'm doing the same kind of interview in the second and third instance, it improved drastically. Only when I recorded it, I knew that I have improved it. So I would encourage you to have those interviews, mock interviews recorded, and show it to somebody, right? Some mentor, and then they will help you, providing a feedback, a genuine feedback on whether you have done a good job, or whether you have to improve, or you have to do some 10 more mock interviews for yourself. But do not fret. That is the way we learn, and we all learn like that only. And we have a lot of free resources, in all these steps. Whatever I have suggested, we have free resources and we have paid resources also. So make use of free resources as much as you can in resume building to the mock interviews, and when it is absolutely necessary, you can go for the paid versions. And this is for the beginners, right, who are wanting to go into entry level roles of AI and generative AI. And for the people who are already into it, I need not tell how you have to prepare. But in my experience, one thing stood out, right? The How would I tell the story, the narration and the storytelling of what I did, and what I can bring into the table a bit more. Because everybody are nowadays hunching towards learning new things every day, and I try to do the same. When I walk, I would hear a podcast, or I would try to upskill myself. And I'm not there. I'm not really confident if that I'm totally upskilled myself, but I try to upskill every day. Try to learn at least one thing every day, so that in my next interview, I could do a little more, and I would improve my storytelling skills also. um, uh, not juggling with what others might think of it, right? So because end of the day, our confidence is really really important, and also what we bring into the table could be shown only when we have delivered that speech beautifully. Thank you so much everyone, and I would open for any questions in here, or we would take the questions by the last.
I think, Shaheen, there are a couple of questions that I would like to answer. There are a lot of, in fact, the questions, if you see in the group, at least on the chat window, are one is hold on, let me see if I can get this correctly. For a complex app, how much percentage of code generation is possible? The second is pre-sales could do 65% of the code draft if aware of the things, right? What is the role of agents? Um, and then, uh, yeah, what is what percentage? How can I develop a complete app? So, to answer most of the questions on the chat, right? For someone who has asked, what by what percentage can we cut the coding complexity, and then can pre-sales do 65% of code generation? This is how vibe coding and code generated by generative AI can work, right? The first step is to basically do a context setup and ideation, and that is what Shaheen was referring to, right? You have a product roadmap, and this is basically you would plug into one of these steps at different points in time. The first step is context setup and ideation. So let's say you are starting with a very brand new project or an idea, something that you have been sitting on for past so many years, but just simply didn't have the resources to get it done. In that case, what you would do is you would define the goals clearly. You would sketch an initial architecture, write down what is your requirement basically in detail. And this is where I would urge you, request you not to use LLMs, because they would go on and write something that probably is not your requirement. Sometimes they do a good job, sometimes they don't. So I would prefer to stay away, take my time defining the context, define the context setup and ideation, be very specific, clear in what you need, right? And then what you would, after once you're done crafting or drafting your requirements, give it to an LLM, a chat GPT or Grok, and then ask it to design the strategies and structure the requirements. This is basically for all the uh, product managers, not the project managers out there. The second step is basically you would need to use vibe coding tools such as Cursor. There is Lovable. Now you have Gemini Code that is free for students. You can provide your college ID card and get 1 year of subscription free for Google Gemini CLI, and then that give these requirements to the AI so that it basically gives you an initial structure. You don't, so the beauty here is, and for someone who has asked, will it give me a 65% of draft code? It will not give you 65% of draft code, but will definitely give you a prototype that you can start using immediately. Back in the day, the concept of a high fidelity prototype versus a low fidelity prototype existed. Now it is basically a code prototype, right? What I mean by that is your high fidelity prototype would actually give you a look and feel of the application, but here the application itself has been provided to you. Make changes wherever is required, but then to get it properly, you will have to continuously refine, right? There, if you see, the next step is manual debugging and editing. So this is where step 3 and 4 is where you would need actual developers. So step 1 and 2 is for product managers and people who are solopreneurs of sort. They can finish the step 1 and 2, provide the output to the developers. You can have a very small team, see how issues can be fixed, because the code even generated by AI would sometimes need to pass a lot of security requirements before it is actually usable, right? And then from here you can basically iterate and go back to step one, which is context setup and ideation. Again, you would follow step two and three. Again, from step four, once you are done, once entire code is generated, you are happy with the code, test it out, and then go back to context, setup ideation if some feature is missed, or then you could go back to AI generation and refinement. So this is typically what a software development life cycle would look like in probably the next 2 or 3 months.
Thanks, Satya. I think we are running out of time. Maybe
Yeah, sorry.
no. Thanks so much. I in fact took a screenshot of that. So that's a good information, right? So couple of other questions were around. Quickly, we'll touch on this, right? So GenAI, Agentic AI, AI agent, right? So let's say the generative AI is something which is able to answer to the questions based on the knowledge what it had, right? So if you see a couple of years back, it was just responding to the questions. Then it started acting onto your questions. For example, right now it can order a pizza for you, right? So this is where we started calling it as AI agent because it's not responding to the questions, but it actually ordering something or doing a task for you, right? And on top of it, to keep it very simplified, right? So if two or three such agents work together to get a task done, for example, I want to go to US, um, and I want to make sure that I am in US only when it's not raining or not snowing, and maybe something, I want to go to a place where I have a beach as well as the casinos to play or something. There's a lot of people required earlier, right? Someone have to make sure that apply for my visa, check whether I have a visa, check the weather, check the hotel booking, check the flight booking, and all this. But each of these tasks can be performed by one agent. And when we club all of them together for achieving the task, we are talking or calling it out as an agentic AI working together to complete that goal. Right? Now, stand on that. If I am asking through a vibe coding to do something, that's exactly what's happening behind the scenes. Multiple agents working together on your requirements and generating that code for you. So for the developer, the agentic AI is nothing but what we are calling today as a vibe coding, or even I think someone started calling it as a spec driven coding as well. All right, so that's the difference between our, it has an enhancements. The simple LLM answering the questions, then it's able to do one task, then it's multiple agents working together and getting it done, and the vibe coding falls into the third category for the developer. So for other areas, they have a similar agentic AI solutions built out. Okay, now guys, see, while AI or LLM and all this agentic AI as are going great, they are not as brilliant as you. While some of them claim that, okay, it's able to solve the PhD question in 2 hours instead of 2 years, which the PhD folks were able to achieve, just go ahead and ask one simple question today, right? So just say that, okay, I have bought shoe from Amazon, right? And looks like there's a problem. They gave me a right shoe instead of a left shoe, and a left shoe instead of a right shoe. It will say, oh, I'm really sorry. Here is how you can return the back to Amazon. It won't say just switch the shoe left to the right and right to the left like we think. No, it cannot. Right? So it's as dumb as that, but at the same time, it's learning quickly and able to do some tasks. So you need to really understand what it is good at and use it versus what it is strictly no. Okay, so what does it mean? There is still out there, there is a people connect, there is uh, the collaboration that you can bring in and all that, right? So that no one can replace. It's us, a human touch, that empathy and all that still remains with us. The only thing what I would say at this point of a time the GenAI is giving is the flexibility for you to do something that you wanted to do. You don't have to be a developer to start with, but you're able to get it done in a couple of weeks instead of years. So spend some time in learning this area and you can do a lot of wonders. You believe me, start spending an hour into learning GenAI, understanding what GenAI is all about, and how to use especially the vibe coding, and you will be more confident than what you are today in the next 1 month or so. Okay. Having said that, I think we are running little over the time, but any questions we are ready to take at this point of a time. But Survi, over to you.
Yes. Thank you so much, sir. That was a great session. These are the things that that the freshers keep, juggling with. So all the three speakers have given a very good overview of the same. So it was a great session. Any questions from the participant side, which they can? Okay, there are few a few questions are coming up, sir.
Sure.
Yeah.
We are here.
Okay. Why more than one project? Start thinking problem you can solve with Gen AI.
That is written by me, Survi.
Okay,
Survi
okay, you
asked
have
why more than one project. That is me
okay, okay,
writing answers to
So
them.
I think the chat
okay,
is full of questions. The QA has three questions, which is
right.
there are share broking company, and I'm really not sure if I understand the question. So please advise me for a watch and productivity in our firm.
See,
Uh,
maybe I'll start and take it over, Satya. So this is where Gen AI coming to the picture, right? One and a half, let's say 6, 7 years back when AI came in, it was so complex. And there were all these data scientist rules and all this engineering to build a model and all that. So that was basically taking a kid and making him a doctor. And most of the times, most of our parents feel, right? And that's the reason some of us are into the IT and other divisions. But every parent hopes, or most of the parents hopes, even my dad was hoping that I would be a doctor. That was the case of AI. It's so complex that not everyone was able to break into it and do some wonders. Now, what GenAI has brought in is an abstract, reduce the complexity, saying that, you know what, we already have this graduate out there, right? And what this graduate can do, just think about this 4 or 5 principles, right? That graduate can understand what you're saying. That graduate can read some information based on what you ask for. And that graduate can respond back after reading this information to you. Now, when I say the content here, when I talk or when I pass on the text or when I pass a video or I pass an image, all are valid. So think GenAI as a graduate who can understand, who can read, and who can respond. Simple. And now either it is a pharma company who in a pharma company you're talking about creating tons of documents. All right. So whenever there is a task, a human is doing it and he is doing it, let's say, at 10 hours. There is a possibility GenAI can help you do that and reduce from 10 hours to 10 minutes because it's able to understand what the task you're working on and it able to do that for you. For example, whether it's a writing or reviewing or executing some action, the GenAI is in that stage. For example, right now you're talking about, let's say, the legal thing. Uh, I think someone called it out something. Just put this 3 or 4 principles in your mind where GenAI can help. It's not as brilliant as you, but it can help in almost every human activity that the brain does today for you. Okay? Sorry, Satya, you were saying something. Please.
oh no, absolutely. That is, I think, be it share markets. So one thing I think the key takeaway in this is that whatever is the problem statement you are applying this to, right, is be it share broking or investigation of options and share market, please make sure that you do a little bit of research that augments, right? Use AI as an augmentation tool, not as a replacement. I think for Santosh, who's asked that question. So what you would do manually, AI would collect all the data, but then make sure that you put, especially in sensitive markets, please make sure that you are also doing your own research rather than just having AI do this by themselves.
Mhm. So I think there was another question from Surya, Anna Surya. So Satya, the question is how an experienced person who has basic understanding of AI, how can one structure his learning to bring a lot out of the AI?
Okay, so this is a specific learning curve into AI and how developer can make most out of it. So, Surya, one thing is if you are an experienced developer, absolutely good, because the one thing that you have to your advantage is the first principles, right? And this is what I keep telling everyone at my organization as well. What we mean by first principles is the fundamentals or the core of any programming language. That I'm sure you already have. Out of your experience, you can make use of it. Use that and learn a little bit of prompt engineering, right? So what we mean by prompt engineering, context engineering, and if we go back to this slide that I presented before, that is where if you read the second slide, which is AI generation and refinement, what you will see is well-structured prompts, right? One, you will need your requirement to be absolutely crisp and clear. The second is how well are you able to steer the AI to do your task. Now, I'll give you a very simple example, and this will help you understand. If you when a pilot is basically flying an aeroplane, right, they are taught that when you tell a pilot not to do something, they will definitely do that, and that is the human psychology. Even for a child, if you say don't sit on that couch, they will go and sit on that couch, because that is how human brain works. It cannot comprehend negativity. The same goes with AI as well. Some of these AI models, you should never say that don't do this, right? Rather, and that this is one of my observations at with a lot of fresh developers who are doing prompt engineering. Rather, what you should tell is do this in a certain way, right? And this is where your experience will come into picture. You can specifically tailor craft the instructions that, hey, I need this dialogue to be written in Bootstrap, ShadCN, or White.js, and then how the UI should look like. If you are able to in a crystal clear manner create your prompts, the outcome of those prompts will be fantastic. People who are worried and then complain about AI slop are basically giving the wrong instructions to the AI, giving it negative direction, saying don't do this, right? Instead say do this. So that is one key takeaway. The second is, in the next 6 months to 1 year, what can you do to learn, upskill himself is, like Shaheen suggested, pick up a lot of agentic, start with prompt engineering, move to agentic AI development, and start learning some tools like Na10, right? So Na10, I know in the interest of time, we were not able to showcase that, but Na10 is a beautiful automation tool where you can create agents, where you can create or see your ideas come to life pretty quickly. So that is something that you can leverage to your advantage. Showcase these as innovations or small automations on your LinkedIn. that should boost your confidence, at the same time put you on the path to that learning. I hope I answered that question, Surya.
Yep. Okay. Uh, a quick one. So, guys, there's a lot of tons of information out there on YouTube. You don't really have to spend money on some of this Coursera and all this where you have to pay something. Believe me, most of us depend on YouTube. Huge pile of good information. So please go to that. And there are a couple of good folks who I follow. Maybe Krishna Naik is one who talks someone like us, right? But very clearly explains the things. And he has given the path on how to learn generative AI and use for the different stream of people, right? So there are a lot of such people on the YouTube with the good courses. So do not spend money on the complex website or the Coursera's of the world. Just go to the YouTube. You have all the necessary details out there. Okay, looks like we are running over the time, but thank you so much, guys, for making it. It's a pleasure being here and sharing our knowledge.